Cool. Awesome. Good evening, good afternoon, guys. I think we have folks joining, across the globe. People were super excited. We got tremendous response for this, session. I hope we will live up to the expectations. We have, super awesome young developers here who will be sharing their, life journeys and the day in the life of a blockchain. Super excited for the session. So welcome everyone. So my name is Kiran and I'm the co-founder of Web3Learn.io. Web3Learn.io is a blockchain skilling platform. So we primarily focus on EVM chains. So our goal is to train developers, get them to the industry ready projects and eventually place them to the industry. So that's a three-pronged model that we follow. So we are in our fourth cohort and just check out our Discord link and website for the upcoming courses. We have a lot of interesting courses that are coming up, a lot of interesting partnerships as well that are shaping up as well. On that note, without further ado, let me invite, as I said, our awesome panelists for the day, Harsh, Chaitanya, and Boidushya. These guys, I think are doing tremendous job. I know I would call them even the OGs in the Web3 space. One has recently led the Web3 conference to create a success. Boidushya, congrats on that. Hearing a lot of stuff.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, super. Would love to hear the story, your journey there, and what led you, and how you pulled that interesting conference. Harsh,
Sure.
yeah, Harsh, we've been following your work with Blocktrain and the content that you create. Super awesome job there. I'll let you guys introduce and I will do the intros in a while. Chaitanya is founder of Insure, and it's a very interesting platform that he is building. We'll learn about more about Insure and what he is working on these days. Yeah, welcome once again. Let's get started, Marty. We'll start with the intros, as I said. Boidushya, do you want to go first? Give a brief intro about what you have been working on, how you got into Web3 space, and might be little snippets of Web3 conference, right? So there is one of the beautiful conferences that India has ever
Thank
created.
you. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today. Just a little bit background about me. I'm Bhattacharya. I'm working as a developer at Reef for almost 8 months now. And I am also, as you introduced me, I'm also an organizer at Web3Con. How I got into Web3 space is very interesting, actually. I never thought I would be in the Web3 space, but it was pretty random, actually. One of my very close friends told me, "Hey, there's this hackathon going on. Do you want to take part? You just have to make the UI and all." I'm like, "Sure, why not?" And that was the way I got into Web3, and I guess it's still going strong now after organizing Web3Con and meeting some amazing people out there. Yeah, it's pretty good. The space and seeing all the amazing developers, especially Harsh and Chaitanya, we've met before and Web3Cons as well. Um, it's great. It's great. The space is expanding, that's for sure, and it has some great potential. Yeah, that's pretty much it about me. I'll let Harsh take the mic.
Super awesome. Yeah, welcome again, Harsh.
I don't think so. He needed an introduction, but fine, take care. Yeah. Cool. Hi guys, I'm Harsh. I've been into blockchain space since like almost 2 years now, and yeah, in this particular space, I've been developing. Like I've been mostly worked with the core devs. I've been working at Bitcoin Core. I started there. I started by Summer of Bitcoin, which is a cool program you guys should look into. And yeah, and then I later on went on exploring other EVM chains. Hackathons were an awesome way to understand these new things and like develop projects very quickly because of the pressure and stuff. And yeah, like recently I started a side hustle Blocktrain, which was like, okay, let me just convert my developer experience into some kind of content so that people can follow. As I do think so that we are still a lot of like there are a lot less developers, a lot less good developers, and I was like, fine, if I can help out, fill out the void in some way, let me just do that. So yeah, that's all.
Super. Chaitanya?
Hi everyone, I am Chaitanya and I have been in the Web3 space for almost 2 years now. And I am the founder of Insure and I'm a Web3 freelancer as well. I currently work at Amber Group, where we are bringing carbon credits on chain. And my Web3 journey also started with hackathon and ironically, the first project I built in that hackathon was Insure, and that's the project I'm expanding it into a real world product. So I'm really proud, and let's see how things go from here.
Super awesome. No, I think when we spoke with a couple of developers even in our previous webinars, and especially Avril, right? So Avril session was like extraordinary. He shared his hackathon journey, how he got into Web3 space, and how he made his first $1,000. I think Chaitanya's journey seems to be also on the similar lines. Hackathon and eventually building a product, and yeah, wishing you great success there. So guys, let's deep dive into discussion. So what I would like to do is maybe we can divide this into 3 or 4, subsections. So the first section is, since most of the audience here are developers, let's help us understand your journey into the Web3. I know it happened. Everyone has different paths here, but how did you start learning, especially the Web3? How did you start coding in the Web3 space? And how did you land into your first project, whether it is a freelance project or a paid project, and eventually into, the present job? So just help us and walk us through your journey. Might be in the reverse order. We'll start with Chaitanya and go to Boidushya.
Yeah, sure. So when I was in the last year of my college, uh, then I heard somebody was talking about this Bitcoin and Ethereum, how their prices are skyrocketing and stuff. So I was wondering what is the technology behind that, and why is the prices going so high, and what's happening behind the scenes. So then I started exploring more and more, started learning about Bitcoin, Reddit's white paper, and then I got into Ethereum, then started learning about smart contracts and how we can build dApps on that. And in my final year project, I built one identity management project. Wasn't quite really a big one, but surely it was my intro to the blockchain world. And from there, I started building out small projects, from learning from different tutorials and stuff, uh, from YouTube. Let's say different. The first important thing I did was joining Discord servers, various Discord servers. So let it be Chainlink, let it be any kind of Aave or any kind of other dApp. I joined their Discord and started hanging out with people, and started exploring the space more. And my breakthrough was when I joined the Gitcoin bounty program. So at that time, Nervos was organized. They had organized one bounty program where there were, I guess, 10 to 12 bounties, and it was a really introductory program. So there you had to do, like, from the very beginning, from installing the different kind of libraries and other stuff. So like that, it was planned. So it really gave me much of a ladder to climb up and get into the Web3 space. And after the bounty program was over, there was also a hackathon organized. So from the experience I gained from those bounties, I applied my knowledge, and then I created one project there. And from there, my real Web3 journey began. And during that hackathon, I made a lot of connections through which I got my first freelance client. And since then, I have been working with almost 10 to 12 clients now. So that's my journey so far with Web3, and I think it's going pretty great, and it's a lot of fun.
10 to 12 clients is almost a firm, by the way. So you should not like.
No, absolutely. I'm sure it's a great ride, and I think I mean I think we were chatting with one of the largest protocols yesterday. I told the power of the Indian youth and the energy and enthusiasm that the Indian developers has, right? So I can totally sense it in your conversation and the way how you have actually made those strides. So the same question to Harsh, to you as well, but like let's take it in a different perspective. See, I think even though there is like a lot of content out there in terms of tutorials, like as I said, at Web3 Learn we do cohort-based courses. Still, like I do get at least 4 to 5 questions every day from the developers. Where do I get started, right? How do we enter into the Web3 space? Even though there is so much that we have been doing on multiple fronts, I think that's the most lingering question among the developer base. What should I start? Should I learn JavaScript? Should I learn Python? Should I deep dive into Solidity? If I'm learning Solidity, where should I start? What should I learn? What project should I do? So just help us understand your journey, Harsh, and then if you have to recommend like 1, 2, 3 steps for someone to start the journey, what should that be?
Understood. Yeah. So, like as I said, like I mentioned, this program called Summer of Bitcoin, which was like I spent a complete summer understanding blockchain mechanisms, like the consensus algorithms, how the network performs, and everything at the core level. So before that, I was pretty much active in open source communities like Goldscript. So I had a coding background. I was looking into multiple domains, ML, AI, like web dev. So I had basic programming experience, obviously, and I was creating projects in each and every domain I used to look into. So yeah, like that experience was good enough for like getting started. So like if you're someone who knows how to create a basic website, like understands JavaScript, understands ES6 and everything, I guess that's all the web development background you require for like creating even like the starting basic projects of blockchain itself. Then yeah, like I would say then I used the complete summer to understand Bitcoin itself, and I was contributing to their core repository. Like in that particular repository, a lot of things are like kind of slow paced because you need a lot of testing and everything is community driven, so you need to run through each and every time. But yeah, like that was a cool experience because you get to work with a lot of developers, and that's a fun. And yeah, like I would say once you understand enough of programming, you can start with blockchain mechanisms, like learning how what is the technicalities behind. And if you have that in place, then you can build better projects because like now you understand why we need the decentralization in the first place. Now you realize like why what we are trying to do, not just like going on the FOMO train. Okay, yeah, let me just build this and get some money laundering done. But no, that's not how things work out. Right. So you should understand what big movement all of us we are part of, why we needed to fix money in the first place, why there are so many cryptos coming out daily saying that they solved the blockchain trilemma and stuff like that. But yeah, like if you understand what the mechanisms are, then you can get started with any of the chains. There are so many. I guess Ethereum is the simplest one to get started with. There are lots of cool Solidity courses out there through. And if you already know an object oriented programming language, Solidity is like just a few hours away, because if you just put in a couple hours, I guess that's more than enough to understand the basics. And you can start with creating a to-do list or something. Like to-do list is the hello world of every framework. If you're learning React, you start with to-do list in React. If you're learning Next, you start with to-do list in Next. So if you start with Solidity, create a to-do list in Solidity. That's all. Like that's the very basic thing. And yeah, like once you understand that language, now you basically have front-end skills. You have some Solidity out there. Let's participate in some cool hackathons. Let's try to put our skills into the place. And yeah, that's then you can start a firm like Chaitanya here did. He just like went on getting 10 to 12 different clients. And basically whatever you're learning, you can just like start posting about it so people know, Acha, okay, this guy is learning this, I can get him do this. Like that's one way to get freelance projects. And yeah, like that's one way to connect with other developers in the space as well, right? You see, like the crypto Twitter is one of the very friendly space out there. You can just like hang out with the people there virtually, like we are doing right now. Or you can go through awesome conferences like one we had in Goa. And yeah, so I guess that's all. And there are lots of cohorts happening. You are doing one. All the blockchains are running fellowship programs right now. Polygon had one, Solana had one. So yeah, like lots of I can see a lot of blockchains go in like multiple code things, which are like which is like basically a cool thing for all the students to get started with. I just heard that IGDTUW, which is one of the very famous colleges in Delhi, is having a Solana campus event right now. And I was like, okay, damn, that's something really cool. I never had that when I was a college student. And that's something which is pretty easy now. So like there are lots of, as you said, like there's a lot of content, but yeah, like you just need to, like these are the boiled down steps. You understand basics of web dev, you understand basics of blockchain, and then you get started with any of the blockchain. Like Ethereum has the exponential learning curve, while Solana is somewhat different. And that's why I guess it has a steep learning curve. But yeah, that's also fun. So I guess you just like try each and every chain and then choose the favorite flavor you like or something like that. It's a buffet. It's an open buffet. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. That's super helpful. Boidushya, just help us walk us through your journey.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, it's pretty insane how similar my journey is to Chaitanya's. So even when I got in, I am currently working at the like on the product I won my hackathon in. I was also working on two, three other products, but like that became my main focus. And actually, I put most effort in that. But to go back to where I started, it would probably be like following tutorials, going through white papers, light papers, and most importantly, a thing which helped me a lot was crypto zombies. I would recommend that to everyone who's getting started with at least Solidity, right? And moving on, I already had some experience from web development, and like if must have heard like a majority part of which Web3 is focused on is front end. It's the like almost a lack of front end, right? Lack of back end, right? So that came in very handy. And the tools that we already have, like for example, in React, we have like Web3.js, which has JS, right? I personally, I currently work only on like Ethereum. I don't work on Solana. But yeah, that helped me a lot to get started. There are other awesome tutorials as well. For example, build space is there, and then there are some other similar platform, Odyssey DAO from what I remember. But again, it all changed when I joined Gitcoin, right? Uh, I went there, saw a hackathon, took part, and won. And I was like, okay, so there's this whole other avenue that I can explore now. And a very important part is getting down to the brass tacks. Like Chaitanya mentioned, reading the white papers. White paper helps a lot. And the community, especially in Web3 right now, I would say the community plays a huge part. People you know, people you network with, other developers you talk to, they help you a lot. And the community is really different from Web 2 in the aspect that in Web3, the community is very friendly, very open, and that plays a huge part. That is a very important, I would say, part that Web3 plays. And yeah, that's pretty much about how I got into Web3. And yeah.
Super, very interesting. Yeah, I mean, the foundation is very important. I think that's why we emphasize, folks to read at least the Bitcoin white paper and the Ethereum white paper, right? So I think and understanding the main difference between the Bitcoin and Ethereum and how Bitcoin was just only a financial transaction, and on the top of it, the limitations there, and why Ethereum has come into picture as a Turing complete language, and how that whole smart contract and Solidity was built on top of it. Awesome. So,
Mm.
yeah, go ahead.
Fun
Sure.
fun fact, at the conference I did ask people like how many of you guys have actually read the white paper of Bitcoin and the yellow paper of Ethereum. So people did read the Bitcoin one, but no one, not any of the developer I have met actually had read the Ethereum yellow paper, because like I guess it's a long one, and you need to understand the virtual machine and how it plays in the role. But yeah, like if you understand that, that's a huge plus point for you as a developer.
Yeah,
100%
it
plus
helps
plus.
you
Yeah.
understand the way EVM works, and yeah, it's I would say it's a good read. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Got it.
I think
So,
if
yeah.
you don't get what's in the paper in the first read, it's important that you read it first and then you can revise it twice, thrice until you understand it. But it's important to get started first.
So, three of you, I think I'm picking up some common themes here. So the common themes are obviously one is start building projects. So start getting into it. Even if you're not able to understand, experiment. You will get there eventually. Start building projects. Slowly. On whatever blockchain you're learning. So, for example, if you have Solidity, there are list of projects that you can build on. I think everything is open source. Everything is available on internet, and then start applying the third component. I think which is common across three of you is start applying your knowledge onto real-time projects and start attending these hackathons, right? Whether you win or not, that's a different issue, but once you start attending those hackathons, you will understand how to work in a project team. You'll understand how to think through in building a real project. Yeah, quite interesting journeys there. So coming to, anyways, the topic, the title for the topic is A Day in the Life of a Blockchain. So going back to Boidushya in the order, we'll do the reverse order now again. So help us understand, how does a life in blockchain developer, of course, barring your Web3, Goa conference, how does a typical, day look like for you? If you are completely focusing on development, and how much time do you spend on, say, coding, debugging, banging desk saying that, oh man, like why is this code not getting compiled, to understanding, hey, what is happening with this particular hack today? Hey, whom should I connect and talk to, in the industry? So typical day look like for you, and how do you divide the time?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. The not code not working part, actually, a lot of people would relate with me. Is like very frustrating to say the least. But in my day-to-day life, when I'm like working on a particular project, I'd get up, start working on something, and probably spend the first, let's say, about 15 to 20 minutes planning out how to do it properly, and then get into it, right? If I already have started with it, then I'll probably check my to-do list that I've already set from the day before. I use Trello, by the way, to like manage stuff that I have to do for the next day. And I probably go on with it. I also sometimes, depending on which project I'm working on, spend a considerable time learning some new stuff, since I wouldn't say I'm amazing at development, right? Like in Web3 at least, like I have a lot of stuff to learn. So it's very important to understand what I'm doing. So again, there's this thing with me where I can't learn from tutorials, which sucks. And I have to do something in order to learn it, right? And projects actually play a very important part in that. For example, which I mentioned, crypto zombies, that helped me a lot, and doing it actually gets me working. And like when I'm trying to learn something, I try to get those projects built up and like customize it according to what, like I don't blindly follow the tutorial guy, right? I like to tweak some stuff, like make it customize it on the basis of how I would like it, right? And yeah, depending on the day, depending on the project I'm working with, it changes a lot. It changes a lot. Right now I'm working on the reef, right? So I'm working at reef, I'm working on squid. So I am, let's say I'm working on a specific portion of the squid app, right? And depending on which portion I'm working, it might vary from as low as like 2 hours to as much as 12 hours a day, right? So yeah, and balancing out college with that, it becomes a challenge at times, but it's interesting. It's pretty interesting to say the least. Yeah.
Awesome. So I think we got like a lot of questions in the form. I think you raised a very important point about you, and I think that's what I want to go back to Harsh and to Chaitanya. So generally what happens in typical Web2 world is, so you have a set project plan, which is, could be waterfall model or different models, scrums, etc. that has, come up. And then you have a project manager, and the project manager assigns you, okay, these are the 1, 2, 3, 4 tasks that you need to complete by the end of the day. That's the time frame. And and say if someone is getting stuck in the traditional Web2 world, either they Google the code or they go to Stack Overflow or they go and ask their senior, to find, hey, what's going on here, right? Why am I getting this error? Why am I getting stuck? And like, how should I resolve this? At least that community support, is there in the Web2 world because it has evolved over the last, 3, 4 decades over there. Since Web3 is pretty much new, at this point of time, and fortunately or unfortunately, most of the Web3 jobs are remote in nature. So my question to you, Harsh and Chaitanya, is like, how do you build that team dynamics, whenever you are working in a particular project? And so if you're getting stuck in a particular, the line of the code, or like, if you feel that, okay, hey, do I need to get a second eye, on the smart contract that I wrote? Is this good enough to deploy on mainnet? So how do you go about that? How do you address those issues, as of today? Might be we'll go to Harsh and then to Chaitanya.
Yeah. So as you said, like majorly all the jobs in this particular space are remote, and I consider that's a good thing because in crypto we really don't care about where you belong from, which country you belong from, what gender you are from, what race. It's if you just have skills, you get the work, you get paid, and that's a very very cool thing. Which like we are kind of breaking the society's paradigm that there needs to be experience, there needs to be like we see a lot of things happening, but yeah, I guess in crypto everyone, like on Twitter you'll see everyone will have an NFT as their profile picture. We really don't even know how he actually looks like, and yet they will get hired. Like that's like anonymity, that's privacy, and you get paid for your skills basically. When it comes to like handling teams, so yeah, I have had the experience of working with folks which belong from a lot of different countries, where we have like 12 hours of time zone difference between us. So the work is majorly asynchronous. You just like get your things pushed up in a different branch at GitHub, and then you leave some messages. Okay, these are the things I need to check on. If you need a second opinion, you normally take you use a lot of apps like Slack or Discord. But yeah, like majorly it's all asynchronous, and there might be like a weekly call or something like that, just to like make sure everything is on track. But like that's a good thing as well, that it's asynchronous. Like you don't have a 9 to 5 job. You can work at any point of time you like. So yeah, if I can get done with all of my work on Monday or Tuesday, and then just enjoy my week, just doing other things or learning something new. So that's cool. And like yeah, like all the teams I have been part of have been like really cool. And like all of us literally just like consider each other as peers. You are not working for someone. It's all of you are in the same uh, hierarchical. Like there is nothing like hierarchy now. You are just like everyone is a node basically. We don't consider like anyone is different. So yeah, like that's cool, and it has helped me to learn a lot about the other cultures from different parts of the world. So that's a cool experience in itself. So yeah, I guess that's the question.
Yeah, super, super. Thanks. Yeah. So Chaitanya, to you, might be slightly different question. Adding to my previous question, I think going back to my previous point, so deploying the smart contract is not that easy, right? Especially it is good to take the code from OpenZeppelin, put it on Remix in a code, understand, see what is going on behind the scenes in the smart contract, understand those functions and all. I know that's pretty simple. I mean, it's not pretty simple, but like it's you can totally do that. What there is no there is no damage to it. Let me put it that way, right? But when you are writing a real smart contract, you are actually writing, the inherent code, it's code of law, literally, right? So we are transforming the financial data and then putting it in the form of a code. So one small mistake and, the smart contract hack, and like, you see what happens there, right? So
Do
my
you
question, yeah, my question to you is, sorry, Hans. My question to you is, like, when you write the smart contracts and when you're looking to deploy on mainnet, what is the thought process that goes behind, when you are deploying? Like, what sort of precautions, best practices that you follow, apart from like doing that, testing, going through that, like, checklist of, smart contract audit, etc. and all. Uh, just help us walk through, like, your experience. Maybe we'll go to Harsh's point, before you answer.
you just
Yeah.
described a blockchain developer's nightmare. I just wanted to add that, like one small mistake, and that's what I wanted to
Exactly.
say.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. Okay. By the way, guys, truly, like, I am from finance background. I am from the private equity background. I have zero knowledge on coding, but like, yeah, I was picking up these days. Yeah, over to you, Chaitanya.
Yeah. So I think it's important, really important to write test when you are writing something inside your smart contract. That's the first thing you want to make sure, that whenever you are introducing a new feature or fixing any bug, that you write the test for that right now and then. It's very important. And also make sure that all the other tests which were running correctly before, that those are already passing, and then you have to push it to development. So and I think there is a lot of gap between your development time and deploying to mainnet. So whenever you are developing, make sure to write tests, do thorough testing of your smart contracts, and then push to development. And when it comes to deploying to mainnet, there are a lot of tools by Tails of Bits who help you, statically monitor your smart contracts and find out any kind of vulnerabilities that might be present in your smart contract. And one other tool is Slither, which really helps in finding out if there are any bugs, re-entrancy attacks, or that sort of stuff. And I think those tools will help you find out any kind of bugs or potential hacks that might occur after deploying to mainnet. So I guess that's pretty much it. What you can do about before deploying to mainnet. And the first thing would be to write good tests. Writing good, there is no other solution than writing good tests when you are developing a smart contract. There is no other way.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, adding one small
Sure.
point to what Chaitanya just said. I think it's a very good thing you mentioned testing, right? In Web 2, testing is a very big thing, right? Even you have like TDD, which is test-driven development, right? In Web 2. But right now, at this point in Web 3, people are more focused on the development aspect of it. People don't really care that much about testing, which is absolutely what they shouldn't do, right? Once you're done writing whatever you're doing, test it. Absolutely. Testing should be a very important part of your software development process, even in Web3. That's all I want to say.
It's essential 100%. Whether it be your hackathon project, whether it be your mainnet product, you should write tests for each and every case. And there are a lot of libraries that are available which will help you out in this regard, and how much coverage have been done through this test and all the other stuff. And like the tools I mentioned by Tales of Bits, they help you a lot in debugging your smart contracts. So I guess that's very important point when it comes to deploying your smart contracts to main.
A golden
Yeah,
words out there, man. Can't agree more. Yeah, Harsh, are you
yeah.
like
So
to add something?
every time I wake up and like see the news, okay, this thing got hacked, this bridge got hacked. So I have this list of all the tests I need to do, and every time there's a new hack, I'll just keep on adding to that list. So yeah, we saw re-entrancy, we saw Nomad going crazy, we saw a lot of things happening. But yeah, every time such hacks happens, it makes me little scared of writing a piece of code. So yeah, that's something which.
Especially
But
when
okay,
the stakes are this high. Especially when the
yeah,
stakes are this high,
yeah. Yeah, like for a hackathon project, it's okay. Mainly for hackathon, you'll be deploying on testnet. You really don't care about it. But when you have products involved, when you have VCs involved, when you have a lot of money involved, you need to make sure. And there are a lot of audit companies as well out there who just do this exact thing. Like smart contract auditing is one of the biggest, like I guess one of the best jobs in the crypto space as of right now. Like when you count money as well, I've seen like I guess the biggest bounty which was ever paid to a hacker was by Polygon. They paid 4 million just to like for someone who uh found a cool exploit. And yeah, like that's something because that it was very important.
I
Awesome.
like to cover a
Yeah,
bit
yeah. Go ahead, Shiv.
in terms of when you're developing a project for the hackathon, you need to build a habit of writing tests. So even if you are building a project in for a hackathon, you should definitely write tests. Even they might not be thorough, but you should try writing at least some sort of test. At least try to get to know about how to write tests. And after you build that habit, then eventually when you go to production, it will be very easy to get used to.
Yeah, you never know when you have to suddenly deploy to mainnet, right? When you get hired and then you have to deploy to mainnet and you're like, oh shit, I didn't test this out. I have to start writing it from scratch again.
Nice point. So I think I'm picking up three things. I know there are so many questions out there. This is actually going super awesome. So Harsh, you mentioned about like you are actually making the list, right? And also that is one of the exercises that we at Web3 wanted to do at one point of time. So finding out whatever bugs are there and then mapping it to I think we have a decent list of the hacks that are out there, right? The so-called rules and that you need to follow to ensure the smart contract is not falling in those traps and all. So my 30-second question is, are you identifying new set of bugs other than whatever 20, 25, 30, 35 types that have been identified by Ethernet and that is out there in the public? Are you coming across new sort of stuff? I'm sure the space is evolving, but like what's your experience been on that front?
Yeah. So I would say like whenever I'm working with big repositories, I would say like you should understand if I'm adding a simple function to the smart contract, I should try writing the parameters at which it should fail at, and then the parameters when it should not. Like that's the basic, because like the function might be new and things like that. But yeah, like now there are like I don't think so. A lot of people go through the hassle of writing everything from scratch because they like simply use OpenZappelin as a non like the standard, and we rely too much on it. But I guess like that kind of makes things easier as well, because you don't need to keep a check of a lot of simple things like math. Like the computers are very bad with handling the float numbers, so we keep a check on that. There is a simple library for that, you can use that. But yeah, like whenever you are actually writing tests for yourself, you should understand like there are a lot of frameworks out there. So hard hat, if you're using hard hat, all the tests you whatever you write you will be checked. But yeah, we are basically enhancing the DevX right now. So like in Foundry you can write fuzzing tests where it even like have it even has like it can create tests of like various things, like okay, this particular function will fail at 0.0000 something decimal, and then like you can't think, like a human brain can't think of that, but if you just use fuzzing tests that would help out. So yeah, like I guess Foundry kind of shines over there, and that's a new tool, that's a new kid on the block everyone is playing around with. So yeah,
Cool.
like I guess yeah, that's like we are getting the better DevX, but like
Yeah.
I would say,
Cool. Okay, guys. Now this is a little bit challenging. We have so many questions, but what we will try to do is, we'll do a rapid fire. We'll give 30 seconds each. Okay, to each one of you. I know it's not easy to answer in 30 seconds, but we will try to attempt it. Right? So we'll start with Harsh, Chaitanya, Boidushya, and then we'll go in the reverse order. So first quick question. Obviously, we started with this. So how much of time is spent in writing smart contract code, and how much of your time is split on other activities as a developer?
Smart contract code is like the smallest part of thing you need to do in the development. You spend majority of the time in developing the front end. Smart contract is the least amount of time. So once it's done, you checked it out. That's all. Because like now it will be done. So like yeah, I would say like a few. If I'm developing a project, I guess a few hours will be more than enough for doing the smart contract. Rest all time is given in UI UX, bettering the front end, making it look all pretty, doing the makeup and everything. So yeah.
Okay, Chaitanya.
Yeah. So the same question.
Same question. Yeah.
Sure. So my majority time goes to writing smart contracts because I'm working as a backend developer there. So I don't do front end stuff, but most of my time, let's say I'll split 30% of my time goes to writing smart contracts, and then 60% goes to writing tests for it, and then the remaining will go to doing meetings with the front end guys and what kind of care they need to handle in the front end stuff, because most of the front end guys don't really know about how they should go about web3. So all of the most of the front end developers come from a web2 background and they don't have good knowledge about web3. So we need to ensure that they make sure of all the things are perfect on the front end side as well.
Got it. Super. So what you said to you said you were working on multiple projects. So if it is a freelance, how do you get the work, and how difficult or easy it is to manage the relationships in terms of expectations, and above all, which is the most important question, how do you get how do you ensure that you are getting paid for the work done? So
Yeah, I'll again come back to hackathons for this one because the way I got on almost most of my work that I got were from hackathons. So I had to take part in like what 5, 6 hackathons at once, and I was reached out to the DevRels of certain companies, right? So I would say participating in hackathons, participating in the community, right? Like getting your name out, getting yourself out is a very important thing in Web3, and people tend to come to you for that generally. But if you're making good products, if you're shipping good product, people tend to come to you for that, right? So yeah, you get noticed. You start to make certain good products, and yeah, that's pretty much how you get started. But then again, there are a lot of other opportunities which I can't really comment on because I haven't really gotten my work that way. But I'm sure there are other possibilities as well.
so the next question is, I think we have covered a lot of this stuff. Maybe we can talk a little bit on the trends. The question is around, what do you feel are some of the Web3 services, or might be the areas that are most in demand for the businesses at the moment? Not exactly sure what do they mean by Web3 services. Might be we can touch upon what are the latest trends that you are seeing. Where are you seeing most of the projects, and which blockchain and which technology, as per you guys?
Everyone's
That's a very
excited about
controversial question, that's for sure.
everyone's excited for the merge. Yeah. So that's but yeah, like I've worked with a lot of blockchain maxis, and yeah, he said it correctly. It's a very controversial question because everyone has their own thing going on. But I would say like cross chain is a pretty interesting thing, like when you are in doing things, and then sharding, which is a very cool new concept, and ZK, like all these new buzzwords are very cool. But I think like these have been like you every day you get up and you read a new blog, and okay, you think like, okay, learned something new today. Like that's what happens to me every day. I read a new Medium blog, I read something else, and yeah, like these are the current trends as of right now.
And it's never ending, right? And I 100% agree. I
Yeah.
think Starknet wants you to learn Cairo. Aptos is coming up with some other programming language. Tomorrow some L1 and L2 will shape up and they'll say, okay, guys, this is the new programming language. So yeah, it's kind of never ending. I
That's
think this. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
that's the only thing which has kept me in crypto for so long. Like all the other domains, I did feel that they were getting boring at some point of time. In crypto, you'd never get bored. Every day there is a new controversy, new product, new thing to new memes, and yeah, cool new events to go
The
through.
learning never stops. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're still at day zero. There's so much. I think whenever I talk to people, I say that, like, hey, we are building for our kids and grandkids, right? Even forget about our generation. Think long term. Whoever thinks long term, or are going to be the winners in the Web3 space. This is a very interesting question, and we get this question often, guys. So I'll let you, one of you pick, or might be three of you chime in here. um, so how to land in a Web3 job if you're a fresher? Uh, okay, let me put it this way. So I have so much of knowledge on blockchain. I have done projects, but the recruiter still counts you as a fresher. So in that instance, like, how to land in a job, as a fresher? How do I convince the recruiter that I have enough skills? Is the question. And we keep getting this question at least, I don't know, like 5 or 10 times in a week. So anyone want to take a cut at it?
Yeah, I think when it comes to getting hired, I think highlighting your projects is also an important part. Just that when you say that I have built something, doesn't mean that it's built good. So you need to present your project in a good manner. First of the most important thing is hosting your project. A lot of people, what they do is when they are building a project, they'll set up everything on the local host. So there's a saying that get off.
GTFOL. Yeah. Yeah. We
That's
can't
the
say the full form here, but
Build space
yeah.
people. Yeah.
yeah, build space people.
So it's very important that you get off localhost and host your project somewhere. Your smart contract should go to some kind of test net. Your front end should be hosted somewhere, and that's the very important thing. That when a recruiter sees that you have these many projects, then yeah, he should be able to check them out, right? When you say that I have built this thing, but the recruiter can't see what you have built, then that's of no use. So you first need to host your project somewhere so that recruiters can find what you have done and all the stuff. And the other thing is building your GitHub profile. That's also very important. That when a recruiter sees that you have made a commit 1 month ago and now you're making 10 commits in a day, that's a very bad impression. So your GitHub profile should be really consistent, I guess. When you're building projects, it shouldn't be like you built a project 10 months ago and now you're building another project and everything is going in a single commit. Most of the projects I see, a lot of people, what they do, first they build out everything and then they'll push everything in a single commit to GitHub. So that leaves a very bad impression. So everything should be really stepwise. The use of Git is that you write your commits very short and sweet, and then you push it on GitHub or any other platform that is available in the market. So that's the two most important things I would say. And another thing is getting involved in Discord communities. It's very, very important. When you get involved in Discord communities, a lot of times what happens is recruiters themselves will contact you. When you post your projects or whatever you are building on these Discord servers, there are a lot of recruiters going on. I think there is a Lumos Labs server. There's active recruitment going on in that server. So I think it's very important that you go on to some kind of Discord server and post your projects there that I have built something like this, and what were the challenges you faced and how you build it, what's the idea behind it.
Awesome. Super. Love it. I think, yeah, committing to GitHub, should be part of, the day-to-day life of a blockchain developer, where, whenever they're in, at least in the learning phase for sure, right? Cool. I think we have 5 more minutes left. I think we covered most of the questions, in one form or the other. We'll take this last question, and I would like to ask one fun thing about, like, how you guys are spending time, and how you are, made, what should I call the work-life balance, right? So we'll come to that in a bit. So this question, we know the answer, but like Kunal is asking how much time it would take for a Web2 guy to get well experienced so as to get paid. So there are two things: well experienced and get paid both.
Yeah, those two are very different things, I would say. With I have seen like not so well experienced people land really great jobs in Web3 as well, and they learn along the way, right? So, considering you mean a Web2 guy who wants to get into Web3 and at least have the basics down, I would say it really depends on person to person, but it shouldn't take you more than 3 to 4 months if you're following the right course, if you're following the right path. There are a lot of tutorials out there, and like every influencer's account you open on Twitter, they already have that pinned comment like blockchain roadmap journey. Just follow a good one. Just follow a good one, and it shouldn't take you more than 1 to 3 months if you are really a good Web2 developer. Especially for front end people, I would say if you're getting into that aspect of Web3, right? There's the front end aspect, not that diving that much into Solidity and backend and whatever. It shouldn't take you more than 3 or 4 months. You should be pretty well versed enough to get paid even, right?
No, if you're a front-end developer, 80% of the work is done, right? So there's complete direct
Exactly.
transferability of skills there, and what you learn is solidity, and then how to pull the information from smart contract onto the front end. Awesome.
Yeah.
Uh,
Contracts,
Go ahead, Chaitanya.
yeah. When you are learning smart contracts, you have to learn a whole new backend, and when you are learning front end, it's just that you need to learn about new libraries. That's the different thing, and some point of
Exactly.
UX, because the UX would be different in Web3 than Web2.
Yeah.
Apart from those, everything would be really same. So front end guys, go ahead and get started with your Web3 journey.
Yeah, it's
Front
almost
end.
as if you are learning about a new library, right? When you're doing it in front end. But I would say it's important to kind of know how Solidity works as well, because you might need to go back there and tweak, at least to communicate with the backend people or the Solidity engineers, right? So yeah, a little bit of, not a great amount of that is required, but at least so that you have the basic idea, right? So that you guys can communicate between yourselves. I think that's a very crucial point. Like it shouldn't take you a lot of time, but yeah, then again, yeah.
Super, super. Okay.
It's just a
Let-
database. It's
yeah.
blockchain is just another database. So like it's not something new. It's not something
Yeah.
very very
Mhm.
cool to learn.
If you're
People
a
don't
front end guy,
understand.
you've already hit the jackpot.
Yeah, exactly. If you're a front end guy, you already know like 60% of Web3 development, like for dApp development basically. Because like as I said, like the least amount of time goes in Solidity, the most amount of time goes in bettering the UX.
Right, right. Okay, 2 more minutes, guys, and I'd like to ask, how do you find work-life balance? So do you guys party? I know I missed your yacht party, man. I know saw the pics and I was like, dude, like why I did not go to Goa? I hope you guys had a great party there. So how do you kind of find the work-life balance? How do you de-stress yourself? Any tips and like any final thoughts for the audience here? Might be Harsh.
Conference organizer, that's the question for you now.
I would say, I would say treat Web3 or Web3 journey like anything else, like your studies, for example. Like what would you do when you're like too stressed out with studies? You'd go take a break, right? You'd go out, go have some fun with your friends, then come back, then go about your regular day-to-day life again, right? It's no different with Web3 as well. You focus a bit on the learning aspect, you focus a bit on the development aspect, then you go back, have fun with your Web2 friends, and and that's pretty much it, honestly. There isn't too much to find about the work-life balance. But yeah, it's all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Chaitanya,
Yeah.
Harsh, final comments. Might be Chaitanya.
I think the great thing about Web3 is most of the Web3 is remote. So finding a work-life balance should not be an issue for you. It's great. The remote work culture is really great, and I hope some of you guys get into Web3 and start building out stuff. And even if you are a Web2 developer, start joining hackathons and get your hands dirty. That's my final thoughts.
Super. Harsh.
Yeah. Like there are some questions in the chat I would like to answer. So like there was this question about like what backend should we use for Web3, which would be decentralized and all. So yeah, like normally the infrastructure is just front end and the smart contract itself. So the smart contract is already deployed on the chain, so it's decentralized, and the front end can be deployed on IPFS and things like that. So yeah, that's all. But yeah, like the closing comments would be like there's a lot of content Web3 Learn is doing that. You can follow my content as well, Blocktrain. You can just like check out the mechanisms and some projects there are like that's something which I try to do, and I try to like make it a lot less like easy to understand for newbies. So yeah, do check it out. And I would say like it's not very like even if you're not a developer, even if you are just a designer, we need a lot of you guys. If you're a content writer, we need a lot of you guys. So it's the Web3 is not just for techie people. It's also like anyone who has a slight of enthusiasm. Yeah, like they can get started, they can understand, and they can be part of the big family.
Yeah. Web3 needs a lot of UX guys.
Absolutely. I would, yeah, +1 on that.
Yeah, it's a plus 5. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, agree. So thanks so much, guys. So I think uh, what I would say is, and I think we are very fortunate to be living in this generation where we are seeing that next transformational technology, right? And the discussion with multiple developers in the BC communities and other greater protocols. I think someone was making this comment yesterday. If you are a Web2 developer, for you to get into FANG companies, you need to have a IIT degree, you need to have a CGPA, and either if you're in US, you need to be an Ivy, you need to go to Ivy League, spending lots
Lead
and lots
code.
of money, yeah, whatnot, right? And a bunch of stuff. There are like a lot of criteria that one has to go through, to land in a job in a FANG company or whatever in a bank company, which is these days with the Meta. Um, but whereas I think Web3 has opened up doors, it is actually the decentralization has really started, in the way how we are working itself, right? So you need not have a fancy
Absolutely.
degree, you need not have a fancy GPA out there. All you need is passion. I think these three guys here are the epitome of that. See, I'm like super impressed, by your journeys, guys. Seriously, and like kudos to you, hats off to you, and like a lot more power to you guys. I think these guys are a testimony of like if you have the passion, to learn stuff, put in efforts, and attempt it. Do the projects and attempt the hackathons. The world is yours. I don't think people should be able to start cribbing that. Okay, hey, I did not go to a fancy college, or I had a 5 point GPA or 6 GPA, and recruiter is not calling me for the interview. No, those days are literally gone. It's all new.
You should decide
There's
your own fortune. Yeah,
exactly, you build your own fortune, right? So yeah, go build your own fortune. I think you are the face of the country, you are the face of the newest technology. And thanks, guys. You give a lot of motivation for me. Trust me. And I think thanks to Manish for putting this together. Great job. And yeah, thanks so much for your time and appreciate all your insights. And as I said, more power to you. And I think look forward to working with you guys very closely as well in the near future. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks
can
a
we take
lot
a
for having
picture?
us as well. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Take a picture, Kiran, if you can take a picture.
Picture, Manish, might be, can you? My cam is acting really, really weird. So